I've called almost every show since I started coming. So once we go back to the office, I don't know if I'll be able to, but I certainly I rewatched some of them with y'all. What kept me coming back was the property of the week. So you break it down, the spreadsheet. I'm a business analyst, so I'm a huge spreadsheet guy, and I love the way the formulas and the cells work all together. And I can see that it all makes sense and the numbers work. And I love it every single time y'all break down each property and how it's profitable and how it cash flows. And that's the thing is y'all do it like every single week, which I think you need, because just one or two times here and there doesn't necessarily reel somebody in. It's when you repeatedly say the same thing over and over again and drill it into them that really makes it click for some people. Me, I knew the numbers worked, and so I just, it was a fit, like, because for one, Pablo likes you, and then Greg, you sold me, and the company as a whole sold me. Is there any other questions you want from me?
Jake, I'd like to know what you've learned. What, like, the big thing that you've learned by watching that you didn't know about real estate or rental properties? Is there any like major takeaway that kind of like changed your mindset in any way?
Well, okay. So there was, here's a good one. So I wasn't aware of all, is it 5 profit centers?
That's right,
Greg. Yeah. So I was aware of like there's like the first 3, the cash flow, the appreciation, and the tax savings. But what are the other two? Those are the other two that were like.
So then there's principal pay down, which is the resident paying down your loan for you, which is a huge return for you. And then there's inflation hedging, which is a couple different things, right? You've got the value of other goods and services going up over time, which largely correlates to rises in rent prices and property appreciation. And then if you use financing, inflation hedging really helps because it devalues the dollars that you pay down your debt with in future years. So it gets easier to pay the debt down the longer you keep the debt in place.
See, there you go. You got an answer. Quick and easy.
Every morning when I wake up in the morning, I kiss my wife good morning, and then I say, okay, what are those 5 profit centers?
I need to start doing that, except I don't have the wife, so I just say it to myself in the camera. But yeah, those were like the big ones, the eye openers for me, because like I said, I knew the obvious ones, but like when you were able to explain and actually break down how those other profit centers add to the bottom line as well, because you don't just see it necessarily from a bird's eye view, but if you break it down, over time it definitely adds to it. I'm from Memphis, so like that's a huge real estate market as well. But the fact that you were able to prove to me that Jacksonville is actually somewhat of a better market long term for real estate investing as well. And before I go, I have to say that those Steelers let me down. At the beginning of the show, I heard you say something about the Steelers. I don't know if you're referring to what I was saying earlier, or a couple of days ago, but they let me down big time. I mean, I'm a Packers fan, but I needed Juju to come through for me last night. And, man,
don't bet on the Steelers offense right now, man.
Yep, I made that mistake last night, but
don't worry, I'll be here all season. I will either take the brunt of the jokes or whatnot, or I will be gloating at the end of the year. I will be here, but it has not been fun to be a Steelers fan the last few weeks.
You guys keep it up. Keep doing. You're doing awesome. I wouldn't change a thing. And like I said, and I'll hopefully in the spring or soon I'll be down there to see you in person and whoop up on that volleyball court.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I can't wait to see those spike ball skills. We got a marathon runner. You're setting a high standard for yourself when we get.
I have a high standard for myself. Yes. So I'm looking forward
high standard guy.
Thanks for all the support, brother.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, Jake. Jake and his high standards. So he brought up something. Quarter 3 was the property of the week.
I don't know if people know about the story of the property of the week.
Go for it.
Well, so Pablo on one of our runs was like, hey, man, I really think that we should showcase a property. And I'm like, nah, I don't think that's a good idea. Because I'm like, we're trying to give education, and then that might get a little bit too like into the details and whatnot. And so then a couple of weeks go by, and I'm just like listening to questions from people on the show. And it's like, hey, how do I really find out what those tax savings are? Or how do I find out like what my property insurance should be? And I'm just like, damn, Pablo's right. So like, a couple of weeks later, I'm like, hey, Pablo, remember that idea that you had? Like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, I think you were right. And so instantly we created the property of the week for our Thursday call. It became our standing routine, this consistency that, Jake was just speaking of. And since then, it has been, probably the thing that people, I would say, love the most about the show, right? I mean, people love the Tuesday for more of kind of our client stories, or maybe some other folks in our network and that story approach. But that balance isn't there without the property of the week and that actual detail oriented. How do I take action on actually deciding on what a rental property is? So appreciate you, brother. It was an awesome idea.